Hey guys, so I just wanted to share something that came up in our homeschooling lesson. Not only today, but just recently, the Holy Spirit's been working with me specifically, and now through homeschooling, it's come up again this week. So I wanted to share this with you guys, specifically with our homeschooling group, and then just whoever else I can send this to. Um, I was listening to a sermon by the name, a man named Derek Prince, and he started to talk about witchcraft. And obviously, as a Christian, I hear the word witchcraft come up a lot of times in scripture. I also hear the word sorcery. I hear the word divination. In Spanish, there's quite a few different words too. And I always thought of it as, someone using a magic wand, or someone using tarot cards, or in the Hispanic culture, someone using animal pieces is very common in other countries. The word brujeria comes up, and so I've never confronted it like it's been being brought up to me by the Lord recently. In our homeschooling, it's come up this week. We're going through Exodus, and we're in the 22nd chapter, and the 21st, 22nd chapter, 23rd chapter is where God starts to share his firm commands. And I'm not going to get too much into that because it's going to take too much time. But specifically in Exodus 22:18, it says, you must not allow a sorceress to live. And if I look at that, I just automatically think, okay, somebody who's a witch, somebody who's practicing magic, somebody who's using demonic spirits and demonic powers to manifest things, or to control other people, or to hurt other people. And I can't possibly be doing that. I cannot be possibly called a sorceress, right? Looking further into it, though, I thought about sorcery being alive in our home, in our attitudes, in the types of spirits that we're using towards other people in our family and to other people. We have already at one point went through all of our movies, books, games, toys, things like that, out of the conviction of, for our children, if it had anything to do with witchcraft. But that was only obvious witchcraft, right? Certain movies that make light of witchcraft, are we letting our children watch that? Do we think that we should expose them to black magic, or what we thought was sorcery? But it goes way further than that. And when God calls us apart to be a holy people, he really, really means it. And he really, really means through the depths of our entire lives. So I wanted to share this and just open up the conversation for us as Christians and believers, because we should always be growing in our spiritual walk and always be growing and moving on forward in holiness, to be as God is, as he's holy. So like I said, you must not allow a sorceress to live, Exodus 22:18. This went along with what Derek Prince, a preacher, shared on witchcraft. And I want to just share with you guys what God opened up witchcraft, the definition really of what witchcraft is, more than what you or I thought or could think witchcraft was, because it's not just using a magic wand and casting spells. Witchcraft is not just a Harry Potter movie, or using tarot cards or stuff like that. Those are obvious things. But let's look at the depths of what God means sometimes here. So I'm going to turn this around. This is our homeschool board. I want you to just keep that word in your mind. Excuse my voice, I'm getting over being ill. If, okay, let's just think about that word and keep it there. If. So witchcraft really is using any other spirit other than God's spirit to try and control someone else. Just think about that for a second. Witchcraft is using any other spirit other than God's spirit to try and control someone else. So then today it came up and I'm thinking, okay, well, how do we get the definition of using God's spirit versus other spirits to try to control someone else? Galatians 5, the fruits of the flesh and the fruits of the spirit. Personally, I can put a very obvious example. I used to work before I was saved in a they call it a gentleman's club. It's far from people there are far from gentlemen, but the adult industry. I used every single one of these fruits of the flesh: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, anger, rivalries, dissensions, envy, drunkenness, specifically here, orgies. I used all of those things to control men and women alike, to get them to do what I wanted them to do, whether that was tip me a whole lot of money, whether that was continue to come back to be my customer, whether that was buy me dinner and buy me clothing and buy me vanity items. I used all of those. And so I was using witchcraft in that industry to control other people. That makes total sense to me. I was not using the fruits of the Spirit. I was not using love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those are God's Spirit, right? Because the fruits of the Spirit are God's Spirit. Am I using the fruits of the Spirit, God's Spirit, to control other people, or am I using the fruits of the flesh? Ask yourself that. Now let's talk about our own families. This is where it's going to get convicting, okay? So I'm going to get one of my markers because I don't have it. Okay. I want to bring up 3 words that we don't think about when we think about witchcraft, okay? I'm going to write them out here. Remember, witchcraft, let's keep it in our mind, the word if, and using any other spirit other than God's spirit to try to control someone else. Let's think about witchcraft, okay? I'm sorry. Let me do... I don't have my eraser, but... Okay. Manipulation, intimidation, and domination. Now this is going to go into effect, into practice. So let's think about witchcraft as manipulating someone, intimidating them, and dominating them. Because really what we're trying to do is control the person. Now let's talk about our children. My child's disobeying. And I'm going to remember this word if, okay? I'm going to give it to you guys here with the fruits of the flesh first. We played out these scenarios multiple times. Each one of our family members, our children specifically, we all personally gave examples of when we use witchcraft to control another person in our family. Excuse our guineas outside, they're yelling. So where we might not use sexual immorality, sensuality, and things like that as children or as parents to children, let's use other ones, like anger, envy, enmity, strife, rivalries. My child's disobeying me. Okay, Kason, if you don't eat your vegetables, you're going to not have enough nutrients in your body. You're going to get sick. You're going to be a sick person the rest of your life, and you're not going to be able to do anything fun because you're going to be overweight. You're going to get conditions where you have to go to the doctor, and you're going to have to be on medicine and prescription drugs for the rest of your life if you don't eat your vegetables. if you don't eat your vegetables. I've now manipulated Kaysen. I've intimidated him to dominate him, because what do I want to do? I want to control him. I want him to eat his vegetables. I want him to do what I'm saying, and I'm going to use fruits of the flesh to get there. Let's do it in God's way. Let's do it in God's fruits of the Spirit way. Kaysen, I really love you. And sometimes you might not use all of them, right? Or in order. But look, I'm not yelling. So first of all, I'm using self-control. Kaysen, mommy really loves you. I think that sometimes you don't eat your vegetables, and I know vegetables don't really taste that good. They don't really taste good. I understand some of them are hard to get down. You know, they don't taste good, bud. I understand that. But hey, let's try a new veggie every time mommy cooks. And then maybe you'll start to find vegetables that you do like, so your body can become full of nutrients that you need, and you can be healthy. And if you are a little overweight right now, it will help your body to start going back the other way and lose some weight, so you can feel good, you can be really healthy. And I'm going to be so proud of you if you just, come along with me and try to eat some vegetables. How did that sound to you? Did it sound like that? No. It sounded like God's Spirit trying to control. I want to control my son for a good reason, right? But I can use witchcraft. I can use all these other spirits, because these are all spirits. These are not just traits of people. To do these things, these are spiritual, and these are very deep things that we are committing in our homes as Christians. Or I can use the fruits of the Spirit. One more. Wives. This is where it gets prideful. We don't want to admit this. Wife doesn't get her way. I'll use myself. I don't usually, as parents, we use the if a lot, I think, with kids, because we have to threaten them with a consequence. I don't really threaten my husband with a consequence. But I do still find a way to manipulate and intimidate him, to dominate him and control him. Let's say I want a coffee before getting to church and we don't have enough time. And I asked my husband, I really want a coffee. Why can't we stop and get one? My husband says no, we're running too late. Or maybe he says, hey, you know what? You're pregnant. I don't think you should have a second cup of coffee on the way to church. You already had one. What do I say? Oh, all the stuff I do for you, and you can't buy me the coffee? What do I do here? I'm using strife. I'm upset. I'm angry. Maybe I use jealousy. Oh, so-and-so's husband always gets her coffee. He always gets her whatever she wants. So now I'm creating a rivalry between him and this other husband. I'm envying this other lady's husband and comparing my husband over a cup of coffee. I'm being impure by doing that. What about a fruit of the Spirit way? I want this coffee. You know what? I understand. You get me a lot of things that I want when I want them. I'm going to just go ahead and wait till maybe after church, or maybe I can have a coffee tomorrow. I don't need to have it today. You're right. I've had 2 cups of coffee. I totally understand we need to get to church on time, and I appreciate your faithfulness to get us to church on time as the head of the household, and I understand I can't get the coffee this time. That looks way different than the fruits of the Spirit. So I know this was kind of a long video, but I pray that it would bless somebody, and maybe even offer some good godly conviction for someone. I know it did for me, and I know it did for our children, and every single one of our little children openly admitted the ways that they were not using God's Spirit, and they were using works of the flesh to control other people. You might not be lifting up a wand. You might not be watching Harry Potter. You might not be doing yoga or using tarot cards, but are you doing some of these things? Are you manipulating and intimidating to try to control your family members or your husband? Just want to bless you guys with that. And that is what God has given to us this past week or so. So God bless.